Welcome to the sun today for the 21st of February 2025. It's been a couple of days since we've had some M flares, but that trend was broken this morning. A quick summary of what's been going on. Generally, solar activity has been increasing. The sunspot number rose to 155. We have one new sunspot region, that's region 4000. Flare activity up somewhat. We had 6 C flares today, which is the same as we had the previous 2 days. But we also had 2 M flares. We had 11 coronal mass ejections noted by SOHO. However, that's only down a little bit from yesterday's numbers. The solar wind speed has been varying quite a lot, between 300 and 450 kilometers per second. The magnetosphere remains very quiet. More detail on what's going on with the sunspots. There are 9 numbered regions on the disk, including one new one, which is, as I said, is 4000 near Sun Center at the moment. That was the region that I showed you yesterday that was growing so rapidly. There are also 3 other small regions that haven't been numbered as yet. All of them are in the Eastern Hemisphere. The sunspot number did rise to 155. The area of the sunspots on the disk totaled 1240 millionths of the total surface area of the Sun. The net result of all this activity is the KP index has been varying between 4 and 0. The solar wind speed has been variable between 300 and 450. The ion temperature has been changing from about 10,000 degrees up to 1 million, which means there's a mixture of both low transition region and coronal material streaming past the Earth. On the left you can see the KP index is very low compared with what its normal values are. And on the right, you can see that the auroral arc is very quiet as well. The story with coronal holes is much more intriguing. We have that small one that I mentioned yesterday in the northern hemisphere, now just on the western side of the central meridian. But there looks to be 3 or 4 small coronal holes forming in the eastern hemisphere. In fact, I'm wondering if these may join up at some point. One very long one will almost certainly impact the Earth in probably something like a week's time. The other ones are well south and so may not affect the Earth in any significant way. The model of the solar wind shows that we've got a period of lowering solar wind for the next few days and then rising slightly towards the end of that period. The density of the solar wind is quite low, but certainly below 10 particles per cubic centimeter. Here is the GOES X-ray plot. You can see the 2 M flares there in about the middle of the day, but there are also 6 C flares. I would argue some more than that, but nonetheless 6 is the official number. And the X-ray background is now risen to the equivalent of a C flare at 1.7. As you can see from the GOES plot, there were 2 M flares today. Both flares were from the new region AR4000. The first was an M3 followed by an M1 event. Both interestingly came from the same location within the sunspot group, were small and compact, which is why they were such short flares, and also indicate that there was growth in that particular area that produced the ongoing activity. We also had a very interesting prominence eruption on the northwest limb. I'm going to show you an SDO AIA helium-2 304 movie. Please note the twisting of the magnetic fields. Twisting and stretching magnetic fields is how they store energy. And it's the release of those twists and stretches that actually produce the energy necessary for a flare or a coronal mass ejection. Note how the prominence gets more dynamic just before it erupts. That's a sure sign that an eruption is likely to occur. CME activity does remain high. We've had 11 coronal mass ejections in the last day. That's slightly lower than yesterday, but nonetheless still quite a large number. And we're going to show you a 2-day Soho LASCO C2 plus C3 movie. Well, let's take a look at tomorrow's forecast. The sunspot number will remain around about 150 or so. Flare activity may be a little higher than today as those regions develop. The solar wind will be highly variable, but there is still no major geomagnetic storms expected for at least a couple of days. Once again, thank you for listening. If you enjoy these videos, please pass them on to friends or neighbours or relations who you think might benefit from understanding more about how the sun works. And so until next time, stay safe and goodbye.